What do you desire? Climb the tower and everything will be yours. At the top of the tower exists everything in this world, and all of it can be yours. You can become a god. Welcome to the Tower of God. Was it overhyped? First, I'll say this anime is a masterclass in marketing. The way Crunchyroll went about aggressively advertising its original series is astounding. The perfectly scored and narrated trailers ensured that this anime was the most anticipated for the season. This approach carries over into the anime itself. I knew immediately from the first episode that this anime was about selling the experience. It jumped straight into the action with an epic soundtrack and narration just as the trailers which preceded it had done. Some background is developed as the episodes progress, but I realized that I was totally okay with the way the show throws us into the world with no lengthy explanation of lore or setting. The viewer is inclined to be patient and watch with wonder as we are left to figure out things on our own. I think this is the byproduct of the production approach. The hype and experience affords the anime some latitude in regards to the story delivery. I mentioned the score earlier. It is quite literally the best part about this anime. I'm the type of guy that always skips opening songs, save a few, but not this banger. This is now currently my favorite score in anime after overtaking Made in Abyss. I was so enamored by the music that I decided to check out who had done this masterclass, only to discover that the composer, Kevin Penkin, was the same one who had done Made in Abyss. I realized then that the sound for this anime wasn't some accidental genius, but the intricate execution of a solid direction. The animation is average and not very detailed, but that's also okay because the style, which lacks realistic shading, does very well in displaying ultra vibrant colors, of which there are many. Unfortunately, the animation quality drops drastically at points compared to its own standards. This occurs most notably in episode 5, where the action seems flat from limited frames and awkward movement animation. I know it can't be Sakuga all the while, but this was disappointing because it breaks the immersion, and since the main thing this anime is selling is the experience and the spectacle, this is a big detractor. That said, the animation holds to its high standards for every other action scene following this one. I think the issue with this scene in episode 5 is that it may have suffered for having too many of the large cast on screen at once. It was an expansive action sequence which may have benefited from being cut down a tad. The simplistic style of the animation lacking in detail can be a great strength to improve animation fluidity. However, I don't think we saw this maximized in this season. It has a lot of potential going forward, which I very much hope that it does go forward. The story is simple as the art style. The core plot is just a boy looking for a girl. Rachel abandons Bam in order to climb the tower. He follows her with a heavy heart in order to reunite. The simplicity of the story is to the anime's benefit, however, because this allows them to focus on the spectacle. It's simple, but that's only on the surface. To the author's credit, the way they weave in backstories for the diminishing cast expands the story as the anime progresses. They start with 400 regulars climbing the tower. This is halved after the very first activity. Subsequent activities reduce this number, and as the numbers reduce, more detail and emphasis is placed on the remaining regulars. A good example of this is Anak, best girl for a mile and my favorite character in the show. She appears in episode 1, but we get no details about her until episode 6, roughly the halfway point. They do a good job of bringing her backstory into focus without too many forced flashbacks. and all while maintaining the pacing of the main story. To further underline the simplicity of the story, it took the tried and proven approach of going with an exam arc as the foundation for plot progression in this first season. The exam arc is reminiscent of the Chunin exams in Naruto and the Hunter exams in Hunter x Hunter. In order to climb the tower, the regulars must overcome challenges set by the tower administrator. Each floor has a unique challenge and is dependent on one's skill and even sometimes their political nous for success. It's a proven formula in battle shonen and works just as well here as it does in any other anime of this nature. Overall, to answer the initial question, yes, this anime lives up to the hype and is not overhyped. I look forward to more of it. There are some off-screen problems in relation to the anime, such as possible translation issues. The Glass Reflection released a good video covering this idea. There's a link to this in the description. Another off-screen issue covered by Gigok is how much content there is to cover and how limited the coverage is for this 13-episode anime. He also talks about the impact of the source material for Tower of God on anime as a whole. You see, because Tower of God isn't actually adapted from a Japanese source, but instead is adapted from a Korean webcomic, which could have massive implications for anime going forward. This video is also linked below. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.